Hello, I'm Julia Cordova. Thank you so much for subscribing to my channel and liking my videos. I really appreciate it. Happy Easter! I don't know whether you celebrate it or not, but I like to think about today as a day of new beginnings. And sometimes in trading or not in trading, we feel stuck in certain situations. If you get yourself into a losing trade or if you get yourself into just a situation, know that every single day you can not necessarily start over. It would be nice, but you can make that day a new beginning. You can take one tiny step forward, not to be overwhelmed. Make a plan to get out of your situation. Lots of times people contact me and go, oh no, here's where I am. And this is an annoying thing for me to say to them, but I always say, well, what was your plan before you took the trade? What did you think would happen if you got to this place? Where are you going to know whether or not this was a bad idea or whether or not you're just going to stick it out no matter what and then you're just worrying over nothing? I don't know if that makes any sense or not. Anyway, happy Easter. Okay, let's talk charts and get ready for this week. Ready? Whoop. All right. Okay, so let's start out by looking at ES or SPX weekly futures. So we're still just kind of in the middle of this channel here. Everything looks okay still. However, we are near resistance for RSI. And so we'll have to watch it a little bit this week. But on the upside, I'm looking at, on the weekly, 41.02 or so. And then it just needs to stay above 38.30 or so. So as long as it can stay above here, this could just chop its way out. Blech. Or we could hit resistance here. We'll have to see midweek. But anyway, we are close to resistance. If it does get above that, whoop, at least to this next line. Now, I was looking at this RSI resistance before. We hit it once and then twice. And so it is kind of a strong one. So we'll have to see whether or not we get some chop again this week as we did last week. All right, let's look at the daily. Okay, so broke out of our bull flag and then spent the first couple days of the week just chop, 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 and then whoop. And so from a holding perspective, from a daily, I'm looking at 3983.92 or so. That would be Sunday/Monday. And then resistance, I don't have from a daily perspective until 4178.56 or so. Looks like we broke out of this potential divergence here on the daily, but we've still got another bigger one. So more up would solve that problem. Or if it goes down, we'll have to see. It looks like these two will happen actually. It looks like this star line is lined up with this RSI line now. So that's good. Yay. We'll have some good support. Okay, let's look at NASDAQ weekly. Okay, so we've held this line now. We came back, held. I did draw in a new line just so we have a sort of intermediate resistance, which is 13,964 or so. That would be a new high if it does get hit. We do have, again, just like SPX, we have some mid-range resistance coming up. So as long as it holds, and actually, let me just say, if it goes back to 12,698 or so, that would not be short-term bullish at all. That would be bearish. But as long as it holds it, it would be okay. But if it goes back down there, I don't think it will hold it because it's already it already did the thing where it didn't just have the, wick touch. It had the bodies touching, wick, body touching, wicking again. So it would be no bueno. So hopefully it holds. If not, it could potentially form a giant bull flag. Blah. I hope not, because I like these lines a lot. Okay, so that's weekly. Let's look at the daily. Okay, so from a daily perspective here, I do have a flag target break from the breakout of 14,134 or so. But of course, it has to get through every level in order to do that. I think definitively, if it gets above 13,592, it's going to go whoop right up here. I don't think it'll even stop and pass go once it gets past that level. But that level could be a toughie. We do have a breakout here over this last RSI resistance. But you know what? Let me just draw in another one. Why not? I don't think I've added a line here for a while. Okay, that'll be good. Okay, so we'll have to see if we get here or not. If we do, I'll say something on Twitter. I'm going to save this before I forget. Yeah. Okay, but right now, these are the pivots I'm watching for Sunday night / Monday. On the low side, 13, and this would be back test of the star line, 13,219 or so. And then an sort of intermediate breakout would be 13,391. Okay, now let's look at Tesla. All right, so I was saying, last week that maybe it'll do this thing like it did where it broke out again, less after we were like, bearish. And I called it an alien bow tie. I don't know if y'all saw that when I was on the Neil's show on Bazinga, but it's forming a giant alien bow tie, but this time it's going in the opposite direction. I was going to say the wrong direction, but I'm long, so it's the right direction at this time. Anyway, so we have right now a higher low, and I think it is, though, important. We do have a tiny gap here, teeny, tiny, but it is important. Actually, let me look. The high of that candle is 637.66. The low of this one is 641. Yeah, just a tiny little gap there. But as long as it holds, and this is Swiss cheese down here, all right? There's like tons and tons of gaps lower on Tesla, and there's a gap higher. So I'm not going to draw them all in because as much as I like lines, not going to happen. Anyway, I still maintain that as long as we hold this pink line here, which is 645.47 on Monday and higher every day, it should be bullish. Okay, so above good, below bad. And I'm not too worried about, lots of people are like, oh, this is a terrible day to be holding Tesla. No, not really. I mean, not really. Like, it's fine. It gapped up. It went down. Meh, whatever. Holiday week, not too concerned about it. All right, moving this over here a little bit. Still potentially could get to 800. We'll have to see. I do think that a touch of this line is actually pretty likely, as long as we can stay above here. Okay, let's look at gold. Well, gold turned itself around without hitting my bottom channel. That's annoying for me. But it looks at this time still pretty bullish. Actually, it looks super bullish from last week. So we'll have to see. I like it here. It's above all the MAs on the 4-hour. It's above the MAs on the 1 hour, starting to turn here slowly. It is still under the MAs on the weekly, but yeah, it's looking like it's trying, okay? So it really has to actually follow through here. One more trip down actually to this low from last week, 1679 or so. Really super no bueno. Let's look at silver. Silver, I got irritated by this week a little bit. I pointed out the bear sandwich on the weekly last week, and sure enough, we did have some bear activity. We did close the week lower than the previous week. We have a lower low and a lower high, but it's starting to look extremely constructive. I was watching 24.9 because that's where I stopped out the second time. Well, I would have stopped out the first time, but I held my breath, and then it did this thing where it went back up, and then it went back down and stayed there longer. So potentially we're going to get back up to, if it's doing something arty, like a inverse head and shoulder. I don't know that it does that or not. But anyway, potentially next resistance here is 25.34. So why don't I put in a line? Why not? Boop. About here. Okay, we'll make it 25.39. That would be the next resistance. However, price action has just gotten above all of these MAs. We did have our first MA cross here on the 4-hour, just looking for more continuation. And we have a good thing going on the hourly. We just still on from a weekly perspective need to get above this key, which is 26.94, and then we are going moonbeams. I actually think it's constructive that it didn't hit the bottom of this channel, because a lot of times silver, just like gold, is imperfect, and when it does exactly hit the bottom of channel, I get real suspicious. So I'd rather that it took a near miss and then doesn't get back down there again. Amen. I'm still holding it in my investment account. Whew, let's look at GDX. Extremely, extremely bullish week, I think, because we have a solid solid higher low here. And again, just like everything else, I don't want it to come back. If it comes back again, not good. Not good at all. So the breakout this week would be 35.05 if it gets there. And I think this was constructive. I mean, it was, again, a lower low and a lower high, but this week looked extremely constructive right off of the channel. And it's off of RSI support. And I mean, yeah, that's fine. It looks good. Looks good to me. And if it breaks out there, I think the Martini line is a foregone conclusion. Definitely. For sure. Because if it breaks out of this channel, the length of this channel, I don't know when it'll break out, but the length of the channel is the vertical height. And that is the breakout if it gets out of this zone. And I'm optimistic at this time. Okay, let's look at oil. Oil, I mean, trade it if you want. It's bullish. It will remain bullish. It could go all the way down to 54 right now and remain bullish. It's bullish. This is bullish too. This is flaggy looking. I mean, bull sandwich, flaggy looking. It could even flag down here and still be XOP. Excuse me. I should probably tell you what we're looking at. This is crude oil weekly. And this is XOP, which is sort of a basket of oil and gas stocks. So still very bullish. Not really overbought at all. Just kind of corrected itself enough. It's bullish above 72.09. Let's look at Natty. Oh boy, Natty is just like, it's that thing that I keep trying to conquer. Someday I will get there, I hope. Anyway, we closed pretty much right on the breakout line from the weekly. Of course we did. She's a jerk. She likes to keep us hanging. The good news is, however, is if it just even stays flat, is that possible? And it opens up, it will be above the breakout line. So that's good. But we don't want it to come back and test this breakout line at this time because the key, which is 2.564, which we did back test last week, is higher. So we want to maintain this 2.564. And then as long as we do that, it's okay. Above this Martini, so the breakout line this week is 2.525, but it better hold above the key. And I hope, I'm using hope words. I should say, if it gets above 2.714, that would be bullish for Natty. It looks good on the weekly. It looks good on the 4 hour. The 1 day. And then it looks okay on the 1 hour, but still it's fine. It's okay. It's like had a crappy last hour there. Of course it did. But it's still above the 20 and above the 50, and it's just slightly below the 9. So it's okay. It's just doing a want thing where it's like building speed. Okay, let's look at Joe. This is a very frustrating week for me, for Joe. I did let go some of my scales that I had bought down here because it is not acting right. Now, what could happen from here? The most bullish thing would be goes freaking up. But the thing that I would expect to have happen technically, because it's below the key now, is potentially a megaphone forming. So right now, you look at these slopes here, you can sort of, with your eyeball, I didn't draw it in. I could draw it in. I could do that. Why not? Do it on the fly. Unless I can't figure out how to do it. Polygon. Okay. So let's see. Oh, I don't have it where it's like doing the thing where it has the, okay, whatever. So we want to look at this as sort of a megaphone. Then potentially it could go all the way down to this doctor's line, which is 33.14. If it does that, I'm going to buy the crap out of what I stopped out at. Alternatively, if it closes above 36.66, I'll buy it back, what I stopped out of. So it is just a titch below RSI support here, not surprising, also below the key. But if it recovers this week, okay, fine, great. It's not a problem. But it's below 50, although barely. The RSI, I mean, barely. I mean, it's one of those weeks where it could go either way, but I do think it's more likely to come down here somewhere near the 33 zone and then go higher again, I think. Ish. I didn't draw the most perfect megaphone. You get the drift. Okay. Happy Easter. Let me make this self big again. Oops. Okay. Thank you again for subscribing to my YouTube channel and liking my videos. I appreciate it. I'm going to try and talk to Rico later today to see whether or not I can understand what the heck Helen was talking about. And if I can, then I will publish something. Okay. Take care. Bye.